Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about how the Gators lost to Texas A&M 33-20. So yesterday, the Gators lost against Texas A&M, who had been on a 10-game losing streak on the away games inside the SEC, and they were under the direction of a backup redshirt freshman who was making his first start. His name is Marcel Reed, and he did great. But the Gators should not have looked as bad as they did when they were trying to tackle him or even cover his receivers. Every time Marcel got back there to run, he made the Gators look silly trying to tackle him, and whenever he wanted to, he basically found an open receiver. As a runner, he was elusive. As a passer, he was accurate and made the right reads. But for Gators defense, that is not acceptable. The defense for Florida could not make a stop when it needed to, as twice the Aggies in the first half drove the ball more than 90 yards for scores, most of the time just running the ball. When the Gators tried to bring extra rushers, Reed moved away from them and the rush and then scrambled out, either dropped off the pass correctly to an open receiver or scrambled for some yards down the field himself. The play distribution in the first half was 45 plays for the Aggies and 15 plays for the Gators. Now, that's not a good discrepancy. That means the Aggies are keeping the ball the whole time and the Gators are not having the ball on offense. And that is a directly responsible by the defense, who could not get the Aggies off the field. In the second half, the Gators were a little bit more successful on offense, but then as the game went on near the start of the fourth quarter, a pick six basically kept the Gators out of the game. The Gators tried to use two different quarterbacks in this game, started with Graham Mertz, who was returning after a week away due to concussion. He alternated plays with alternated series with DJ Lagway, who came into the game after having a great success in his first start last week against Samford. As a true freshman, he broke the records for passing with over 400 yards. And in this game, they both had their moments. Each of them threw an interception. The offense did not necessarily look better or worse for either one of them. But overall, I think Mertz had a little bit more success in the game than DJ Lagway did. For Gators fans, it's becoming clear that something's not going on well, especially on the field. They could not generate any pass rush. They could not stop the Aggies on crucial plays. The defense looked overmatched most of the game and out of position often. At halftime, there was an interview with Billy Napier complaining about how much the Aggies have the ball. Now, as the head coach, there's probably something we could do about that. But that was really the first time we could see him at a frustration point where he actually came on camera and said something about his team not performing the way he believes they should be. I'm not sure if it was a plea to the officials, but it came across as an upset person, specifically about his defense and how they could not stop anything. As the game was winding down, the fan base inside the stadium was noticeably upset. First of all, they went through a huge lightning delay, and then they went through a huge rainstorm, and as the product on the field wasn't much to watch, the fans booed the team coming off, specifically Napier coming off the field. Now, I've been around many Gators my whole life. Many people in my family actually attended Florida, and that's generally not how the Gator fans treat their own by booing them, but the frustration levels at the end of this game was so much that that's what it led to. So this morning, there are reports that the Board of Trustees is meeting, presumably to talk about what to do with the football team and the coaching staff. Specifically Billy Napier, who is in his third season as the coach and currently has a losing record and will take a few games to get out of that losing record. Gator coaches typically do not have losing records or even losing seasons, and the people who hired Napier gave him a very large buyout clause. Currently, it's at $26 million if they let him go today or this season, and they would have to owe him half of that, $13 million, as soon as they let him go. So that could be part of what the trustees are talking about, if they could even do that. If it's right to do that. And then as his contract goes, the rest of the money will be owed to him on the length of his contract. If the Gators decide to let Napier go, there has to be a conversation about what to do and how to go in a different direction. Temporarily, you need to figure out what the rest of the season looks like. If someone on staff or someone else is going to come in and run the program as a replacement, then you have to move on to what are you going to do as a full-time hire going into the future, so they had time to prepare for the job. Possibilities of a temporary replacement. I mean, Steve Spurrier, he is currently on staff as a school's ambassador. The field is actually named after him. He walked away from coaching about a decade ago and I'm not sure he'd have the energy or want to come back to kind of thing for the Gators. An old coach like Meyer, who is also a Gator legend, he's not coaching right now. Would he want to come back? He last coached in the NFL, and it didn't go well because supposedly how he treated players, and his style of coaching may or may not be good for college kids at this moment. Or do you possibly go outside, go Gator legends, maybe a Danny Wuerfel or a Tim Tebow, and see if they're willing to come in and spend a few months with the program? Because the idea is you don't really want to affect the assistants or the coordinators in their positions. You just want someone to come in and oversee the operations so everybody kind of stays in their same role, doing their job as they're supposed to. It's not saying much since this current losing streak is on 3 seasons. You may not want those coordinators in positions or anything, but as of right now, it doesn't look like Napier is going to be able to finish out this season, and we'll see kind of goes. Now, how did we get here? How did the Gators get here? The Gators were looking for a replacement for Dan Mullen. They were looking for someone who could be a program builder, someone with a reputation for community, someone who was a organizer of a program, and he was that. Billy Napier was at the University of Louisiana, and then before that in stops, say with State, or when he was an assistant in Alabama. Many people believe that his profile and character would be successful at Florida, and he changed many of the things once he got into Florida by increasing the staff, the accommodations for the players, dealing with NIL and fundraising. A lot of the things organization-wise that was lacking, he has taken responsibility for and trying to make it better. But in taking the job, many things need to be done off the field to help the product on the field. But on the field, it's not happening. He seems to have been successful in the procedural things, but his on-field product is not winning. And part of why it's hard for what the Gators want to do is because when he came in, he had to figure out if he could even be successful in his way of thinking. And the contract that he got is reflective of that hardship. So the contract buyout, he knew it would be hard to get this job going again. So he arranged for this contract to be hard for him to get out without it being difficult for the university or the fans or anybody else part of the university, because he knew it would take a while. So this is going to be a long process, and he wanted assurance that he could be in the job for as long as it took. So what happens if he does leave? What do we do? What do the Gators do? And come up with some names that I've seen or heard, and let's kind of go these things, and let's talk about who could be a replacement if it happens. First, we see Lane Kiffin. As it says here, he is currently the head coach at Ole Miss. He has previous stops with USC, the Trojans, the Oakland Raiders, the Tennessee Volunteers, where he wasn't there. I think he was there for a year. He went to Alabama as an assistant. Then he went to FAU, and now, again, like I said, he's at Ole Miss. Now, supposedly, he was up for the job when the Gators' last position, when Napier was hired. And I'm not really sure how it did go for him to get that job, but he did use it as leverage for Ole Miss, and he got a big contract extension and more money out of it. Now, for some Gators, it could be a drawback that he actually was married to a Gators legend's daughter. I think Reeves was his name, or John Reeves, played for the Gators and then was for the Tampa Bay Bandits. Actually coached or played underneath Steve Spurrier for the Bandits there. And I believe he's divorced from her, so that may be some reasons why the boosters may or may not want him to be part of the team. Who knows? But a lot of people say that he would fit in well. He seems to be very similar to the idea of a Steve Spurrier, kind of what he says, and has an offense that likes to run it up. So that's definitely what the Gators like, that kind of stuff. And next we'll see Jedd Fisch. Now, Jedd Fisch is currently at Washington, a previous stop at Arizona as the head coach, where he was fairly successful last year. And he has many places where he was assistant. He was an assistant in the NFL for many years. And then we should know that the reason why people keep bringing up his name is because he started off as a grad assistant at Florida. And then that was one of his first coaching positions. Many believe that he may want to return if it was the right fit for him. Jamey Chadwell. He's currently at Liberty with previous stops at Coastal Carolina, Charleston Southern, Delta State, and North Greenville. Now, he does a lot of winning, but he does have a bit of history, including some NCAA violations while he was at Charleston Southern due to players misusing scholarships. I believe he had to vacate some wins, specifically against like the Citadel. He also is very successful when he's coaching. he seems to maybe not win the first year, but then does a lot of winning after that. And on a couple occasions, he actually beat or lost to the team he went to go coach for, which is kind of interesting. Currently at Liberty, he is 16-1. He went 13-1 last year, 3-0 this season, and he has 6 conference championships or division titles in his 10 years of head coaching. So he does a lot of winning. So a lot of people see him as a good fit for the Gators as well. See here, Brent Key. Now, he is currently at Georgia Tech, which is his alma mater. It would be very hard for the Gators probably to lure him away, since how he has something up and coming and he wants to kind of get Georgia Tech back on it. But, may want to come down to Florida. He's been an assistant under George O'Leary at UCF and assistant under Nick Saban. He's an offensive line coach by nature, and you can see by often how Georgia Tech plays. They do a lot of running forcibly up the middle in his character. So something the Gators currently do not have a lot of forceful running. So maybe people are looking for a change into that direction. Gus Malzahn. Now, I don't hear a lot of people saying that he would be a good fit for the Gators, but I think he probably would be. He's currently at UCF. He had previous stops at Auburn and Arkansas State. He's the only coach who has 100 wins in high school and 100 wins at the FBS level. So he does a lot of winning. When he was at Auburn, he never had a losing season. He took the Tigers to a national championship game when he lost to Florida State. When he was an assistant there, he had Cam Newton and won the national title there. He's best known for his offense and the systems in which he creates for his quarterbacks, developing them, say, like Newton. And currently now he has KJ Jefferson, where he's running the ball a lot more with him. He's also becoming pretty known for his coaching tree. His coaching tree has branches with Mike Norvell, who's at FSU, Brett Lashley, who's at SMU, Kenny Dillingham, who's at Arizona State, Eli Drinkwitz, who's at Mizzou, and Dell McGee, who's at Georgia State. All those coaches are doing a lot of winning. Well, maybe not this year for Mike Norvell, but they do a lot of winning, those coaches. So he doesn't know what he's doing. He's had one losing season in the last 12 years. He currently sits on 154 overall in his FBS career. And every single season, his team goes to a bowl game. So, if you want to see success, he might be a good play for the Gators. And an out-of-the-box idea. I watched on ESPN, and he has great conversations, great evaluation talents. And I just think that if he got a chance, he would be great in college, especially the way the landscape of college is going now. The landscape is more of a GM, and you're able to coach the players that you can go get and figure out the money situation with the whole NIL. You can do a lot of things within college football now. It's not how it was before, sort of like do and you have to do it. This is more of a team evaluate you. I think you can do this, and I'm going to teach you how to get to the NFL. And I think he would be a great evaluator, especially at a high-level program like Florida, where he can get talent in, get them there, and that pro potential would be just keep rolling. I think he would be great at Florida specifically because his background, again, is a talent assessment evaluator. He can break down those players and figure out who would fit and who wouldn't. And I understand this is, like I said, an out-of-the-box hire, but I think the talent levels at Florida would quickly lend itself to a turnaround, especially with a coach who has a mindset for evaluation, talent, and promotion to the NFL. With all of these things going on, I think it's kind of important that the Gators get this right. If they're going to stay with Napier, great. He's not producing on the field, but he seems to be doing a lot of things that maybe we don't see. So maybe that's what's going to allow him to keep the job, plus the money that's going to cost to get him out, if that's what happens. But everybody says he's a great guy, but currently we're not seeing the great rewards on the field. So hopefully the Gators figure this out, and we'll see how this turns out. All right, thanks guys for listening. I'll talk to you soon.